What's going on, guys? Pumpkin2003 here, and welcome back to my channel, because we've got something a little different. Today, well, I think first I should give out a disclaimer. This is my first time trying to make a video with Xbox recorded clips, so go easy on me. So today we are starting with F1 2019. Let's get into this.
Oh, hey, you're here. I'll catch up with you. Sorry, I'm just on my way out, but your workstation's at the back over there. It should be all set up on the network, but let the guys know if it isn't. From there, you can access all the data you need to help us direct development of the car. Get yourself settled, and then head out to practice when you're ready. I'll catch up with you later, okay?
Welcome to your new team.
So we are with Alfa Romeo for our first season, and we're hoping to just get some points, kinda, because right now on paper we are the second worst team in the R&D department. Williams is last. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but we're just hoping to get some points, hoping to get some good finishes, possibly a win. I don't expect anything more. Our teammate is Kimi Räikkönen, the Iceman himself, and yeah, so our first race is Australia, as it normally is, and I've got a good feeling about it. So, going into first practice was the most exciting thing. In lap 2 in first practice, I was setting a better time. You see we're in the green, and then we come up to this little chicane entering the back section of the track. I get on the curbing, I get on the gas a little too much, I spin out, I don't hit anything, and I whip back around. That's the most exciting thing that happened in all 3 practices. I just spun out that one corner. It's not too exciting.
We're just about ready to kick off today's qualifying here in Melbourne. It's the Australian Grand Prix. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined, and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
So going into qualifying, our first lap was not the best. 124.8 put us down to 6th. Then going to towards the end of Q1, we're 14th. I'm trying to set the better lap. I'm really struggling to find enough grip to make any of these turns. We're in the red, but then coming into this turn, we were in the green. I just got onto the gas a little bit hard, got off the track, went down to the reds, and wasn't able to set a faster lap time, and we ended up 16th.
New drivers, new cars, it's a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that plays host to round 1 of a 21-race championship that takes us from here in Australia across the globe and the eventual season finale at the Yas Island circuit in Abu Dhabi. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. We have plenty of changes to the sport this year with tweaks to the regulations, a fresh-looking spread of tyre compounds, and of course some changes to the roster of car manufacturers. It's goodbye to Sauber and hello once again to the classic name of Alfa Romeo in Formula One. It's also goodbye to Force India. They've been rebranded as Racing Point.
I'm looking forward to getting underway. Last year was Mercedes' 5th Constructors' title in a row, although for the first half of the season it was absolutely neck and neck with the Ferraris. Hopefully this year we can see the chasing pack take that final step, as I'd love to see a championship contest all the way up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Another story to keep an eye on is the performance of Red Bull, who have switched to the Honda power unit this year. What that will mean for both their performance and reliability remains to be seen.
Let's let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Gasly, Charles Leclerc and Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, Kvyat and Kimi Raikkonen, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Roman Grosjean and Albon, Power, Hulkenberg, Lance Stroll and Robert Kubica. Norris and George Russell ends our grid lineup, and with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Lando Norris has a penalty in the first race of the season. That makes sense. But yeah, so we're up another spot now. We're currently going to start 15th. Not bad. Yeah, we didn't make it out of Q1, so we're going to hope and make it better in the race. So 5 red lights go out, and we are underway at Australia. We had a good start because we got up to the outside of Alexander Albon. Ricardo went to block him. I went around the outside of Ricardo, but Ricardo had a better run through that turn, so I had to slot in behind him. Then I had to do it. I had to look to the inside. Everyone in the train braking. I got to braking a little bit later. I only gained one single spot, and then started chasing down the 2 Haas's of Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean. So initially, not a bad start as we move up 2 spots. And of course, it's still just as hard to find grip as it was in qualifying and practice. I'm loose and tight through all these corners. I just can't get any power down. Eventually, we did make it up to 9th, and we were catching our teammate Kimi Raikkonen. He put up a good battle against me. And of course, I'm pushing really hard. I'm getting really loose. I slightly cut the corner, just slightly. But we were in his draft. We had DRS. I got right behind him, coming up to the final few corners in the last sector of the track. I got to his right side, and then going in the second to last turn, he had the inside, but I had the inside for the next turn. I was able to clear him, and I already got the DRS, and I was able to clear him. Then I was chasing down Perez. Perez was very slow, but when I was catching him, and then I finally caught him, and he sped back up again. So it was a little difficult, but then going into that chicane that I love so much, I got to his inside and kept pushing as hard as I could until we got into the corner. I thought I'd clear him in here, but then Perez just held on, and then coming out of the turn, Perez backed off, and I was able to clear him there. And then we were chasing Pierre Gasly, who had fallen from 4th to 6th. And then someone went to pit, and we ended up moving up to 6th, and just a couple laps later, we hadn't caught Gasly much. He's still there in our sights, but we hadn't caught him at all, I don't think. And coming off this turn on lap 10, Gasly did come into pits, and he started the pit cycle. He was the first person to come into pit for a scheduled pit stop. And a lap later, we end up coming in the pits. We came in 5th with both Ferraris and both Mercedes ahead of us. We came in pretty good, about 6 miles under, but we brought Perez with us. Fit the mediums, got out still before Perez. I think we gained a little bit on him. I think we were just a bit quicker in pit stops. And coming out, will the undercut have worked on Gasly? As we go into the first turn, Gasly shoots it in the turn and just clears me. But he's on the hard tires, so he's going to give it everything he's got. Because with these mediums, you have to be a little bit considerate towards the tires. But for the hards, you can give it everything you've got. And that's what Gasly's plan was. But though he's the better car and can give it everything he's got the slower tire compound. So I was able to keep up with him and hopefully eventually pass him. But I was able to keep up with him. I'm going to edit that part out because that's miserable and I gave away a spot. Here we go into the chicane. Gasly locked up. He had a good run, looking to the inside, and move the ERS deployment to high, trying to get around him as quick as I can. Going into the chicane, we were able to clear him. But coming off, we got a little loose, still able to clear him. A couple laps later, Hulkenberg goes into pit, and along with a few other cars, that's going to move us up a few spots, all the way up to 7th. And Valtteri Bottas, if you look there, out of first turn was spun, and he gets back going right as we get to him, not letting off, trying to get around him if we can, but that Mercedes car is just so much faster than our Alfa Romeo. But with our with our situation being in the draft and with DRS, we're able to keep with him and slowly gain on him as well. So right there we go. He goes defensive on the inside. We go to the outside trying to get a run. Maybe a little bit of contact with the tires, but we were able to clear him going into the next turn. We had passed a Mercedes for 5th place. We were up to P5 with 12 laps to go. But just a couple turns later, Bottas got back around us. But we fought back along the inside. I gave it everything I had through that turn. I got a little loose, was able to save it, but cleared Bottas once again and retook 5th position. But as I look behind me, I see that train getting longer and longer, and that did not make me feel comfortable at all, which means, because that meant that all those cars behind Valtteri had the potential to get a huge run on me and pass me. Going into the first chicane, Bottas had a good run. I had a good run going through it, but got loose and not enough wheel and got off the track. And then Bottas, with the DRS and just faster car in general, got to my outside, tried to make the pass, wasn't able to, stuck right behind me through the chicane. And then going into the next turn, he was still right there, but he had Perez to worry about, who was able to try and make the run work, and he was closing on Valtteri more than Valtteri was closing on me. Going into the chicane, Valtteri Bottas still right there. Still the faster car in the Mercedes. I wasn't able to power away from him at all. He starts chasing me down the straight, going into my favorite chicane. He got to my left side. I was able to hold him off, and Perez got to Bottas's inside and cleared Bottas for 6th place. Now going into the final sector of the track, I had to worry about Perez, because Perez had a very quick car. He's in P6 going for the top 5 with only 11 laps to go this time by. I got a little loose out of that turn. I had to feather the throttle through the final turn. Perez just had such a better run going down the straight. As you can see, he's getting closer and closer, but further up front, it's Verstappen and Vettel battling for 3rd place. You see, Verstappen was able to make a run down to the outside as Vettel went defensive, but just a good handful of laps later, you see 27 to 29, Verstappen has a mechanical failure. He pulls off the track. That puts us up to 4th place, and we are gone. Going into our favorite chicane once again, you can start to notice on the screen, more towards the white part of the car, you can see it's starting to rain. Now, us on the slick mediums, it's very bad for us, because slick mediums in the rain equals no grip whatsoever. So I'm working the wheel as much as I can, getting a little loose, having to overcorrect just a little bit. But our pace has dramatically decreased, as just a lap later, Perez, who was racing up front for 5th with me and Valtteri, he blows an engine. He slows down Raikkonen and Gasly. But going on to the last lap, this is the most exciting lap of this race. Bottas went down to the inside, challenging for 4th place. I tried to give it everything I could through the first chicane. Bottas just had the faster run. I got right behind him, tried to keep it there, as DRS was still active. Even with the little bit of rain, DRS was still active, and I was trying to stay within that 1 second margin as much as I could. That way I could get the draft and the DRS. Going into the next pair of turns, I got a little bit closer, but got a little bit off track, and Bottas take was able to capitalize on that. Going into this turn, there's Perez. I went to go make the pass, realized it was yellow flags. I nearly locked up the tires, got really loose, made a little bit of contact, but was able to keep with him. I put the ERS in overtake mode, and then the chicane, I was able to gain lots of time. I corner cut just a little bit, but karma is instant. I went off the track and kept on it. Lewis Hamilton ended up winning the race. Congrats to him. But battling with his teammate further back, Bottas got a little loose in that turn. That slowed me up. I went to his inside with 3 turns to go. I go to his inside. I pass him. And second to last turn, he gets right back up on my bumper. And then the final turn, I just had to take steady. With the rain, I was very slick. I just had to take it steady. And then coming down the front stretch, we finished P4 in Australia.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts.
You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
We really did. Our car wasn't that nimble and light. The aero package was a little rough, and it wasn't sticking to the track. But our power advantage really did come in handy. We were able to put the power down and able to keep up with some of the big dogs up there, like Valtteri Bottas. And we were able to even pass him and battle with him on the final lap. It was just a good race between us.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
They were, and it was really good. But you know, I just couldn't have done this without a great team behind me. But I mean, I'm even more thrilled with their support for this race.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
We obviously didn't expect it, but you know, if you're good in the rain, you're good in the rain. So, I mean, the best drivers still perform the best.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Claire. As we go on back to the office, we get to see how the strategy or the statistics stack up. We are leading our rivalry with Kimi Räikkönen as he was able to beat us in qualifying. He had the better qualifying spot. We just had an overall better race than him. And we got a lot of resource points from it. I think it was overall a really good race, especially for the first race, getting P4, beating a Mercedes in our second to worst team car. I mean, I think it was pretty good, and I'm thinking Bahrain we can probably reproduce that. But you know, you never know. It's just you gotta see what happens and what's gonna happen. You know. So that was a good first race, and ready for the second race, as well as ready as I'll ever be for the second race, and with all this, we're going to skip the invitational events all the way through the career mode because they're just not that needed for us right now. So Mercedes has the Constructors' Championship, the Drivers' Championship, and our team in Alpha, not that bad. We've got the upgrades going and ready, and we should see how they're doing next race. And I hope you all enjoyed this race and will join me next race. And yeah, so if you did enjoy this attempt at an F1 2019 career mode episode, please let me know down in the comments if you liked the video. Please like the video. If you want to see more content like this, then please do press subscribe, and yeah, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.